left in this contract this year. James, how do you feel? I know we've heard your thoughts, throughout the last couple days on this. So how do you think about this one? What do you think about this one?
Well, Brandon, I think it's really the best of both worlds in this situation. So, my biggest stepping point on them re-signing Buchnevich was the fact that he was going to look for the max contract, 8 years, and somewhere around $8 million a year. But they were able to work it out to where, and this is a telltale sign of like how cool of a guy Buchnevich is. He literally tells his agent, like, look, I know where I stand. I want to see where I stand in, 6 years. So they came down the middle to say 5 or 6 years. And, the Blues did kind of cave and go 6 years on this situation. I think they wanted 4 or 5, but it ended up being 6. But you're getting, your arguably your best winger, one of your best all-around players for a good price. Some people might think it's a lot, but if you look at the market at the first day of free agent signing, like they're getting a steal from this guy. So you got him locked up for the next 6 years. And at least the first 3 to 4 years are going to be his best years you're going to get. And even in the tail end of the deal, the last 2, it's modified to be less than that amount. It's going to be somewhere around like $5 or $6 million a year after then, the last couple of years.
His last year, so 2029 is $8 million. 2029 to 2030 is $8 million. 2030 to 31 is $5 million. So his last year, the last year of the contract is the only year where it's below that $8 million mark.
Right.
So, other than that, you got it's 8 mil and 25, 26, 6 mil and 26. Well, I shouldn't say that was because there's a 6 mil in here for 26, 27. Then it jumps up to 10 million for the 27, 28 season, 11 million for 28, 29, and then 8 million for the 29, 30, 5 million for 30, 31. So it's an interesting contract extension, the way they have it kind of like kind of have it broke up. And we talked about it all, the last couple of days, how they were going to like kind of figure out his contract, if this was going to be a thing. And everybody kind of, I think, figured or assumed it was going to happen at some point, that this contract extension was going to take place for Pablo and the Blues. But I mean, is you give the guy a no trade clause again? Is this something that's going to bite the Blues? Where they don't want to be bid again.
But this is just what the modern NHL is. Yeah. All these guys are wanting these deals, and let's face it, like St. Louis is not Miami. It's not Tampa Bay. It's not like a premier destination. It's not Vegas. They have sales tax. They have a lot of different odds and ends. So they have to make it more, I guess, more of a sexy pick. And they got to do that with either more money or make it a good no trade clause. And that's just the way it's going to be. That's the business of the NHL now. Like these guys don't have, the GMs don't have, they have power. But they don't have like significant power to where like they say, oh, you don't want that? Well, good luck. You won't find anywhere else. Like they will. You know, Buchnevich, if he goes to free market next year, he probably would have gotten a 6 or 7 year deal, probably close to $10 million a year. Yeah. But he's staying here. And there's going to be some things that may bite us at the end. But at the end of the day, I think it's the best deal that they're going to get for a player like him.
Right. Yeah, and it makes sense to keep. I think if they wouldn't have kept Buchnevich, I think we definitely would have seen a rebuild style going on for the next year or two, at least until. And I don't want to keep harping on these young guys that are coming up in Snuggerud and Dvorsky, but at the same time, you have to look at the bright, the future that the Blues have with this, and in just where it could be, and by the time his Buchnevich's contract is up, Kairu's and Thomas's will be pretty much over at the time, before Pavel Buchnevich's contract really hits the salary cap, and by then the salary cap should be at least or close to that 100. I think it was the 100 million mark, something like that, around there. By that, like 27, 28 or 28, 29 NHL season. You know, imagine it's going to get close to that mark by that point in time.
Yeah. If the average salary cap increases $4 million a year, you're going to get to that $100 million mark at the tail end of that contract. So at the end of the day, that contract will be considered to be like 7% of the payroll at that point, which is, nothing.
Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be your typical, by that time, like contracts are going to be 10 million a year, 11 million a year for the annual average value. When the salary cap gets to that $100 million mark, that's the type of contracts we're going to see, that are just normal contracts. There's nothing special about them. It's just what they are. So, outside of Pavel signing his contract with, or contract extension